You can run, Donald, but you can hide. Trump's delay efforts backfiring in his face in court. The latest, he's scrambling and running to the United States Supreme Court on Russia, 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 Donald. Remember the case where Donald Trump sued Hillary Clinton and like 32 other people in the Southern District of Florida, alleging a massive RICO conspiracy to frame Donald Trump regarding a relationship with Putin that Donald Trump swore never existed. Fast forward, didn't Donald Trump meet in Alaska with Putin? I mean, the guy's the biggest Putin bootlicker. We could see it right now. In any event, back 3-4 years ago, Donald Trump lost miserably in his lawsuit filed against Hillary Clinton and 31 other people. The great Alina Habba, I'm saying that sarcastically, of course, was Donald Trump's lawyer. The federal judge sanctioned Trump and Habba to the tune of about $1 million for a frivolous case. And since that time, Donald Trump has been delay. So here we are approaching fall 2026. And Donald Trump rushed to the United States Supreme Court seeking his second 30-day extension for his petition to overturn the $1 million sanction on his attorneys for the Russiagate RICO lawsuit that he brought in federal court. The motion cites the press of urgent business for Donald Trump and a slew of other litigation that he's involved in. Donald Trump saying, I'm just too busy right now and I'm dealing with all of these other urgent matters. I don't know. Last time I checked, you just like every week sue somebody else for $10 billion. That's your choice, bud. When you sue the BBC for $10 billion, then run away from basic discovery and from actually participating in the litigation, no sympathy for you. It just shows what a loser you are. And now you have the Trump family members, Ivanka and Jared and Eric and Don Jr., etc. They are hiding behind the Secret Service in order to not be served with deposition subpoenas. And the Secret Service is like, they can't be deposed. We just have to protect. We're just going to block the process server and try to run out the clock. Again, it's just Trump's loser behavior. Second 30-day extension. You're a loser. Just litigate the cases. Just, I was a litigator. Meet your deadlines, file your freaking documents and shut up and stop being a whiny, pathetic baby. It's ridiculous. And so here's the Supreme Court petition, the second request for a delay. It's Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton et al. And it goes on to say, this case involves a series of fundamental legal errors by the District Court and the Court of Appeals, which underlie the dismissal of Trump's civil RICO and injurious falsehood claims, as well as the improper imposition of extreme sanctions on petitioner for having filed the civil complaint. These questions are exceptionally important, but because of the press of urgent business by the lead petitioner, the President of the United States, along with the need for counsel to confer with petitioners regarding the content and scope of the position and the conflicting scheduling demands of petitioners' counsel, granting additional time will greatly serve the interest of justice. The press of other matters faced by undersigned counsel, including other matters for President Trump, makes submission of the petition difficult, absent the requested extension. Petitioners' counsel face numerous direct appeal briefing, trial court, and hearing deadlines prior to the present date for the petition, including, and then it gives all of these whiny deadlines right over here. And if you can't meet the deadline, then don't file it. It's your deadline. It's your filing. And so while you have that going on, you have the BBC saying, okay, you may have refiled your lawsuit, Donald, against us instead of actually produce discovery. We're not going away. We're going to file another motion to dismiss. We're going to propound and serve you more discovery. We're going to push forward with our case. And so the BBC in that case moves to dismiss Trump's new claim where Trump says, my businesses weren't harmed. My reputation was harmed for $10 billion. That's why you can't do discovery on my businesses. It's a $10 billion reputation claim. Even though Donald Trump, since he's been in office, has made billions and billions of dollars. He's been injured $10 billion by a random BBC documentary, which didn't even air in the United States, on Panorama in the UK. I want to bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds Substack podcast and YouTube channel. Harry, yet again, we see this loser behavior. He files lawsuits all of the time, vexatious, frivolous in this case, adjudicated as such by a court. And then when he brings these as a private citizen, he then wants to cloak himself in, oh, but now I'm too busy. I'm doing things as the president. You're a litigant. You filed a lawsuit. You don't get you don't get special treatment. I mean, you're a snowflake. You want a participation trophy? You filed a litigation demanding billions of dollars. You lost. Or in the case of BBC, you filed a lawsuit for billions of dollars. The other side's going to fight back. Turn over the documents to prove your damages and to prove your claims, or don't file the lawsuit. Nobody forced you to file your stupid lawsuit. You filed it. And you just look at this behavior, Harry, over and over again. It's like, man, it's pathetic. Again, not as a Democrat, Republican, Independent. It's like, this is how losers behave. This is how the whiniest, most pathetic litigants behave. And the fact that that's what's going on in the Oval Office, man, it's really, it's devastating for the United States of America.
The guy is like a Hall of Fame pompous windbag, and you're 100% right. He brings suit after suit after suit, and it's like he is the living definition of vexatious, and he does it without regard to the merits. I don't know. We've seen him sue everyone under the sun. The only ones that he's really succeeded at are where he's shaken down kind of corruptly corporate interests who want to placate him and be on the good side. But all of them are garbage lawsuits, and he's a garbage litigant and has been from way back. And going along with it, he just wants, it's true, to delay. Sometimes there's something specific you can see. This is actually, remember the motion they filed just before the whole collusive settlement in the IRS case. He's not going for merits. He's somehow got something up his sleeve, or wants to keep the people on the other side from getting, off the hook. He is, first of all, in his personal capacity here, and it's just, let me say, as having Cork there, not cool to be going for his second petition, for his second delay in front of the Supreme Court. Some very, very, very busy people and busy lawyers litigate in front of the Supreme Court, and they manage to make every single deadline. And now you have not just him, but his lawyers saying, oh no, we have so much to do. The justices are kind of busy as well, but especially because it's these, far-fetched. We saw it also with E. Jean Carroll. What do I do to keep from paying the money? That's the real goal here. He owed millions of dollars from the Court of Appeals for this vexatious, bogus RICO suit, and just delay in any way possible. Maybe he can somehow shake down Hillary Clinton. I mean, it seems completely far-fetched, but it's just his only MO as a, he's a one-trick pony when it comes to litigating, and that trick has next to nothing to do with the actual merits of the garbage case after garbage case that he floods the courts with.
Harry, we see Donald Trump on the DOJ side use John Sauer, his Solicitor General, to use these same tactics, often representing the United States of America, and we then see his private lawyers using these tactics as well, doing his frivolous, cases over here, and I'll just say this, federal courts by and large, and even most circuit courts, have done their job and they've stood up to Donald Trump, and you could draw, not all, but most, I would actually say. I would say at the federal court level, 85 to 90%. I would say at the circuit court level, maybe 65 to 70%, maybe a little less. I would give the Supreme Court about a D- to an F, probably more of an F, perhaps only a D- in that E. Jean Carroll and some of those personal cases. They seem to have a different view when they allow him to make any ridiculous argument, cloaking himself in Article 2 that he brings on an emergency basis to them in the official capacity. That seems to be their line, no matter how frivolous it is, as long as Donald Trump claims irreparable harm. If it's an official capacity, the Supreme Court bends over backwards. And the American people and people, Harry, who don't watch our videos all the time or who didn't go to law school, they see this and they know when it's the Golden Ballroom case. They're like, you can't just demolish the White House. What are you doing, Supreme Court? Even if you're just doing a temporary stay, you can't just demolish the White House. You need Congress. Like, what are you even doing? Or when the Supreme Court issues a stay on Trump's executive order regarding mail ballots, even though the Supreme Court's like, well, we're just deciding on justiciability and standing. And it's like, okay, I know you're saying that, but no matter what the final rule is by the Postal Service that relates to altering state elections, you can't do that, no matter what the outcome was. So as I've said, if you point a gun at someone and say, I'm going to kill you, and you have a history of killing people, the Supreme Court's like, we got to wait until you get shot in the face and injured. Then you can come back and then I might deal with it. And so, here you have this, this is a clown, Harry. This is the vexatious litigant who's imprisoned for life, rightfully so. I'm giving an example, who files a vexatious case every day, and there are laws to prevent the behavior. And here the President of the United States is behaving like that vexatious litigant that, and it's sad to see. I'll give you the final word.
Yeah, look, like a buffoon. You've made two separate points, Ben, and they're both valid, but they go in different directions. So even for Donald Trump, when he does things like tries to hold his breath till he turns blue to not pay money to E. Jean Carroll and wants the Supreme Court to grant a petition for rehearing, which they last did in 1967. Yeah, he looks like an absolute fool, including before the court, and he doesn't seem to understand even when he's acting like one. And the same thing here with these, he comes off as a total sort of two-bit, like that, just as you say, the kind of like somebody in prison for life who just keeps filing and filing. That's one. Your other point, though, it's true about the Supreme Court, and it's really, I think, a serious problem. We've seen it twice in the last week. And both times, there's a lot you can say about this goddamn shadow docket. But one thing that has happened in both those cases, when you grant a stay or vacate a stay, you've got this 4-part test. And one of the important factors is irreparable injury. So you get to the ballroom case and it looks absolutely clear. If they let the administration build, that's irreparable injury. When they come back, they're going to say, oh, look, it's almost all done. Same thing with the postal order case, but they do just the opposite, and it's got really potentially bad consequences. And what they've said in both those cases and in other times is the irreparable injury for the executive is simply not being able to pursue their law and their policy. That's not what irreparable injury is or what it ever has been. Irreparable injury is quite apart from the law. There are things that are happening to you that you can't remedy after. For example, a ballroom being built to the sky. So your second point is one in which they've been really solicitous of Trump in a concrete way and a partisan way, 6-3. And the harbinger of what that could mean for the election, for example, I think has everybody, certainly I would say you and me, pretty goddamn nervous.
Everybody subscribe to Harry Litman's YouTube channel. It's called Talking Feds. After this video ends, search Talking Feds, watch a Harry video, tell Harry I say hi. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Ben.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.